and welcome back to the beautiful Hurst Priory. My name is Stuart McFarlane Bedford, and today I'll be presenting session 2 on the art of sales. And today we're going to be talking about continuing to discuss the sales techniques, and we're going to be talking about talking, body language, and motivation. So sales is not, as I've said before, about talking. It's about communication and it's about helping the customer. So when we're talking with a customer or a potential customer, we're building rapport with that person. We're building trust and we're building credibility. And we're providing knowledge and information, but more importantly, we're providing a solution to their problem. So if someone wants to book a family holiday, that's a problem for them because the rest of the family's relying on them. If it's a business context where someone is trying to book an event or a conference, they have a problem. They need to get this sorted. So sales is all about providing solutions, and that's why by listening carefully and by talking, we can provide that solution. However, there are some do's and don'ts about talking. Limit the information you give. So if they ask a question, make sure your answer is relevant to that question. And don't go off on a tangent and tell them things that they really have not asked about. And also the second thing is provide the information in bite-sized chunks because it's easier to understand. By giving someone far too much information at once, it just overloads their brain and it will confuse them. And the third thing, and for salespeople, do not show off. Salespeople, you've lots of knowledge about your venue, about your accommodation, about your visitor attraction, but they don't need to know it all. So don't, as I said, overload them with information. And the last thing is talk about the benefits to them, not just the features. And we'll go into some more discussion about that. So the third thing we're going to look at is body language. So if you're watching this video, you will see that I use my hands a lot when I talk. So my gesture are my hands. That's absolutely fine. Everyone has their own body language quirks. Mine is about using my hands, but also my hands are very open. My palms are up, which means I'm a very open person. And that's great for the person to see and understand. Also, posture. Again, I'm leaning slightly forward whilst I'm talking to you, which means I'm engaged in the conversation. And that's what you should be in the meeting. And spacing, about personal spacing. Don't crowd someone. Don't sit right next to someone if you're at a table. Give people some personal spacing. And it's really important that eye contact is made and that there's good facial expressions, smiling, and that builds up rapport, it builds up trust, it builds up honesty, it builds up credibility. And there's something called mirroring, which is about building rapport. And mirroring is where someone may cross their legs and you might inadvertently cross your legs at the same time. By doing that, you're mirroring, you're reflecting, and therefore that builds rapport. But be aware that body language is subconscious. And it's great as a salesperson to understand body language because you can assess your customer and see if they're comfortable with the discussion through their body language. But remember also to check your body language as well. The fourth one is about motivation. So let us go back to want and need. So there has to be a motivation or a reason for someone wanting to buy. And that's either want, which we've said before, tends to be more business to consumer related transactions, whereas need tends to be business-to-business transactions. This is not fixed in stone, but what you need to identify is the motivation. Particularly in tourism and hospitality, it tends to be one, because it tends to be about people wanting to go out for a meal as a family, or people wanting to go on holiday. So that's a consumer thing. So it tends to be much more emotional, and that's why it tends to be want. So just to summarize what we've covered today, we've covered the rest of the sales techniques. So in session 1, we talked about listening, and in today's session, we've talked about talking, body language, and motivation. So how do you identify the motivation? I will cover that in the next session, which is session 3, why do people buy? So this is the end of session 2. I hope you found the session really interesting and useful. Please follow the link below to go to the next session.